Alright, so we thought about doing this video, which is totally worth it for whoever's thinking about moving to Portugal. There are some things which are like, they're great things we didn't know, and there are some things you're like, not really sure about it. But it's our first year and a half experience, first impressions of Portugal. We made a list. It's not in order, it's kind of messy, but we would tell good and bad things from our point of view of Portugal, basically.
Hello, we are Daniel from Brazil, Stella from Germany, and our border colleague Bonnie. We moved from the heart of Berlin all the way to the beautiful north of Portugal. We've got this amazing 1.2 hectares of land with an old ruin right by the river. We are going to share our experience of living in a tiny house and the whole process of turning this beautiful place in our home. Starting from scratch, we are diving into manual work, gardening, having some farm animals and any other task you can imagine. Trying to spend more time away from the computer screens. We are all about learning by doing, sharing our successes, fails, and the fun moments with you.
Starting from what everybody expects, I think the weather is just amazing. We get sunny days during December, November, January, and it's just, you get good days like every week of the year, I would say. It's always a nice sunny day to enjoy. Also, so the good side is the weather, but also the bad side here in the north is also the weather because it rains a lot. You kind of need to like it. It's very cozy and nice, but it rains a lot. Sometimes you're just fed up, everything is wet, humid, so it's not, you need to keep that in mind if you're moving to the north.
Yeah, you need to get a dryer because if you try to dry clothes with this rainy weather, it's impossible. When we moved, I noticed, especially coming from Berlin, like everybody is so friendly. So we moved to Póvoa de Varzim. It's like a small city next to Porto. And it was village vibes a bit. Even though it's a city still, people were friendly, greeting. Like in the supermarkets, you get to know the owners. They're asking you, how was your day? At the butcher. Everybody is talking, friendly, interested. It's nice. Like I never had this. Like every day we went to the gym in the morning, and on this way we always saw the same people and was like, hi. doesn't matter if supermarket, butcher, pharmacy, just random people on the street, people who go to work at the same time, just friendly. It's something I really like. And also, like for me, I don't speak Portuguese. But when I try to speak Portuguese, people are very supportive. They're like, your Portuguese is great or very good, even though I know it's not. But they really also, when I say, I want to speak Portuguese, they take the time and practice with me speaking Portuguese. And I think this is something very nice.
But you can also imagine that sometimes I would go to the butcher and I would check if there's like a lot of people or something, because I don't know, lunchtime, and it would be like, just a couple there. I'm like, okay, I'll wait. And then they chat for like 30 minutes. I'm waiting there. It's also the bad side of it. The service here, it's not the best. It's not the best. Everywhere you go, everywhere you need to do something, you need to have a service, you need to be calling people all the time to see if they're actually doing the things. I don't know, it's a bit of a nightmare. So at the same time, we get the super friendly people, you get the very unprofessional service aspect on every perspective, right? I'm talking about from restaurants to architect,
construction company,
construction, tax advisor, and people say, hey, I will do this, but they disappear for like 2-3 days, and it's all over the place. You need to be very patient, and that's how the things just run here.
What I want to talk about is like how friendly everybody is. Also our neighbors. Like the neighbors we had in Póvoa de Varzim, the nicest people. Whenever they came to Póvoa de Varzim, they only had like a vacation apartment there. They were living somewhere else. But whenever they came, they brought us some things to try, like some pastries, some sausages. Then they also had the crab, like massive crab. And they made a crab pie, I don't know how you call it. And they were so proud and wanted to show us everything that we tried.
Super nice people, the best people.
Yeah.
Which is also a good side from another good point from our perspective, that we didn't get any experience with xenophobia. So because I have some friends that lives in Lisbon and Porto, they say like, oh, they don't like here Brazilians, they don't like this, they don't like that. But so far, Brazilian and German, they love us. It's amazing. It's just, they're super happy, super friendly. They try to do the best. It's just amazing.
Talking about something which is not nice, the old apartments are not insulated at all. It's so cold and so humid. And mold, it's a normal thing. And this is something like coming from Germany, I didn't expect. So when I moved to Portugal, I thought like, oh, nice, warm weather, great. I will not freeze. I was never freezing in my life more than in the time here in Portugal. Because the apartments are like a fridge. It's ice cold and you cannot do anything. In the end, we had like some little electric heater. Horrible. And also with the mold, like we had 3 times people coming to remove it. They said like, oh, it doesn't look so bad. In my opinion, it was really bad.
Nightmare. We can also talk about healthcare system. That here, at least comparing to Germany, so far, my experience is amazing here. It's not everything covered. So every time I go, so I pay monthly for the healthcare, but it's not a lot, not like Germany. And when I go to the doctors, I also pay something. So it's like half on demand and half monthly on a monthly basis. So far it works. We can just book and go. It's not something like Berlin was a nightmare. And also not talking about all the crazy doctors there. You have issue, you say you have pain, they say, oh, you don't have anything. Nightmare. So far, Portugal, it's amazing in this aspect.
And then in addition, we got like a health insurance that we pay on monthly basis a little bit. So it's not that cheap, but it's a bit different allocated.
The pharmacies and the people here, they're all super friendly, right? So we had a couple of situations where we didn't have the prescription because maybe we moved or we needed something and we could not go to the doctor. People just friendly, they're like, oh, I can get you the stuff without prescription, so it's very friendly and chill. I think the cities, most of the Portuguese cities, they have this very yellow light. It makes everything super cozy.
But on the other hand, in the restaurant, they make sure to have like the bright light, the white light. I don't understand the concept. For me, it doesn't make so much sense. In the street, it's cozy. You go inside of the restaurant and it's like a flashlight in your face.
It feels like a hospital.
Yeah, but horrible. I think it's a southern country thing. Talking about food. So we come from Berlin and we're very spoiled with the variety of restaurants. And here, of course, it's different. So here a lot of Portuguese restaurants. And in the beginning, like the first time we came to Portugal, we were like super happy, like, oh, nice fish, nice meat. But then it's the same.
Yeah, it's still amazing, but that's it. So we're gonna get amazing fish, amazing meat, amazing this rice, potato thing. It's great.
Yeah.
But the variety of it, it's very limited.
You have some good sushi restaurants everywhere, but besides this, there are not so many different restaurants.
Talking about food, Francesinha. This is junk food, but I already like, it's junk food. It's a crazy bread, a crazy sandwich. I don't know. It's very, very famous here in the north. Everybody loves it. We had a first experience with Francesinha. It was horrible, like disgusting type of thing.
But to be fair, it was in a touristic area and I think we were just really unlucky with the location we chose.
That's true. It was just a bad location. It's like a soup with a sandwich inside of it, like this white regular square sandwich with everything inside, basically. You get sausage, you get meat, you get eggs, you get cheese, I don't know, it's a nightmare.
And fries. So something which I noticed also is if you go to a bakery, like the pastries, they look very similar. And everything is a bit yellow. And this is because they love to use eggs. So they do like a nice, now I like it. In the beginning, I was a bit like, oh, where's the variety? But now I kind of like the pastries. They make like a cream out of the egg yolk and it's very heavy and very sweet. And then you have just different dough around, or they fill different doughs with this.
So forget about buying things online. It's a complete nightmare, rip off everything. Stella lost, I don't know, 800 euros on ASUS. 700 euros on ASUS delivery stuff. She ordered a box, tried some things and tried to return it back. They lost the package. They didn't get the money back. They blocked her, deleted her account. It's a nightmare. The delivery people, they're not going to be ringing your doorbell. They just put somewhere else. Still buy some things, but
Amazon.
Yeah, it's like Amazon. So there's no Amazon Portugal. They have Amazon Spain. We have Amazon Spain, and they don't deliver everywhere. Not everything's delivered. So every time you try to buy something there, sometimes it's say, oh, it's not possible to deliver, and then they just won't do it.
One thing which is nice also for me, because I don't speak Portuguese, is if you go to a cinema, they play the movies in English and then they have like Portuguese subtitles. And this is also the reason why a lot of people speak very well English. One thing which is also nice, if you want to move to Portugal and you come from another European country, it's quite easy to move. So and if you're planning to move to Portugal, if you come from a European country, it's quite easy, because in my case, when I moved, I just needed like the CREU certificate, and I got it within half an hour, so it was very easy. I know from a friend who's living in Lisbon, it took a bit more time, a bit more organization, but yeah, it's quite easy going process. The only problem is to get the certificate, you need like an address in Portugal, and this is a bit difficult because to get an apartment in Portugal, you also need the certifications. So in my case, it was fine because Daniel organized everything and I could get like the rental contract which he made. But if you come by yourself, it might make sense to sub-rent an apartment, to just get a contract, because if you do it officially and just rent the apartment by yourself, it's hard to get, to make the contract. Another thing we noticed in Portugal, it seems like people like fancy things. We saw a lot of expensive cars on the streets. Everybody is having the newest iPhone, Apple Watch, also restaurants. The restaurants, which look fancy, they're usually quite crowded, even though they're not necessarily good.
Yeah, we had some experiences. We tried, just like, oh, let's celebrate this and that. Let's go to this restaurant. And it was a nightmare.
I like to have.
Since we have Bonnie, we always had to pay a bit more attention to the dog situation, right? Comparing with Berlin, where we would just have Bonnie next to us and she would just go to other restaurants, every place, just not a problem at all. Here it's a bit of a pain. So she's not allowed on the restaurants, even though people love, everybody likes, loves and plays and blah, 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 but restaurants, it's always a problem. It's not as easy, not nice at all.
And what I also noticed in Póvoa, there are a lot of people with dogs, but the dogs are very, very untrained. So you see a lot of people also with big dogs who are just like pulled by the dog. And this is also why you meet a lot of people who are afraid of dogs, especially kids, who are screaming when they see the dog and jumping away. It's very dramatic. Like also one time where we were allowed to take Bonnie in the restaurant, there was a family complaining with us, even though Bonnie was just laying underneath the table, but the kid was crying because it was so scared of the dog.
But yeah, nature is amazing. I think you get a little bit of everything because the country is quite long, right? If you go to the south, you get a lot of beach and sun and I don't know, this more surf vibes. If you go a bit more to the north, here is where you get more of the green nature, forest, a bit of mountains. You get a little bit of everything. So Portugal is super, super nice on this aspect. Talking about this distance thing, if you have a car, I think it's a little bit like this everywhere, but the price changed a lot.
For the fuel.
For the fuel, yeah. We have a diesel old car which drinks a lot, and here in the north, where, I don't know, the price is just way cheaper.
Yeah.
If you go south and mainly Lisbon area, the price skyrocket. Also about Portugal, there are many hot guys. The guys are hot. The guys are super tall, full beard. They're super pretty. They're just
tanned, blue eyes. We saw a lot of guys with blue eyes and dark hair.
No, yeah, there's a restaurant that we went to next to Póvoa in the north, like a fish restaurant. All the waitresses there, like model. The guys are like super hot, super pretty. Just I don't know what's happening here in Portugal with the guys, but they're like super pretty. The girls, not as nice in my opinion.
It's very subjective, right? I also overheard a conversation of two guys, tourists, who was like, oh my god, all the girls here are so beautiful. So it's very subjective, yeah.
Anyway, and continue about people, at least in the countryside, there's a lot of old people, which is also a bit hard to connect from us. You just imagine that we moved here, most of the people, like, I don't know, in the 50s, 60s. It's a bit hard to make new friends, but also we just arrived, right? Let's see how it's going, but this part, it's definitely something that you need to keep in mind.
And talking about people, one thing I also noticed is, or what surprised me, people love malls. I have been a few times to the malls and it's packed all the time. Like also the few Portuguese friends we have, they say, yeah, people just go on the weekend to the mall because they're open all the time and then they're just not necessarily buying things, just looking. And one thing I remember, what also surprised me, people like to sit in their cars. So when we were living in Póvoa de Varzim, we always like went for a walk next to the beach, and then you see people parking and they just sit the whole time in the cars, sitting next to each other, eating, reading,
Making
sleeping, making out, but always in the car. It's very funny. And also for the sundown, people come with their car to watch the sundown and then they drive home.
I feel a bit sorry and sad that the apartments are so empty. So in Póvoa de Varzim, where we live, the apartments are empty most of the year because it's just most of the apartments and the things there are like a rental vacation home. So people, they don't go there during the rest of the year when it's not sunny. So the city is kind of empty. There's not much happening there. So it's kind of sad.
Until summer, when it's crowded.
Yeah, summer it's the hell there. It's a lot, all the kids and stuff. Somehow it's very busy.
And also in the city centers, like for example in Porto, a friend told me that you need to keep or maintain the front of the building so that it looks old, and then you need to renovate like the apartment inside, and sometimes there's really just like the front standing and the rest of the apartment or the construction of the house is just gone. There's nothing, and people build inside of the frame the new structure for the apartments, and this makes it also very expensive to renovate or rebuild buildings.
Yeah, it's a bit sad. I think that's it. Our first impressions, first year and a half Portugal.
Yeah.
I mean, overall amazing. We do have these things here and there, but it's not like quite amazing. But overall, totally worth it so far. The nature, everything we want, it's kind of
Super
happening.
happy.
Yeah, so it's all good.
Thanks for watching. Ciao.
Bye.